This is always very, very, very exciting. Each time we have a chance to be together live with y'all. So I'm really, really excited and grateful that you're here. And I'm going to be flipping all kinds of switches here to get us going. And once again, welcome everybody to another Sunday Goal Achievement Mastermind. My name is Mike DeLuca. I will be your host this evening. And as always, this program is brought to you by my company, Integrative Wellness and Development, LLC. It is strictly for the purpose of education, inspiration. I'm always researching and investigating different things. And as soon as I get into something, get in trouble with something, then I know I have to share it with you all. And so tonight we're going to be sharing something that I've been studying for a while and thought it would be a good time to talk about it. But again, the purpose of tonight is for education. We are not affiliated, nor do we endorse any one thought group, any one organization, any one philosophy, religion, anything. Everything that is on the program I'm sharing with you is the things that I'm investigating and I'm looking into and that have been working for me, and maybe they'll work for you. But it will not, diagnose, treat, miraculously cure, or change your entire life around in 1 second. Everything we speak about every week requires study and implementation and work. But if you want to take a more conscious, active participation in creating your reality, much of the stuff that we share here is very easily implementable. And when you do implement it, you will see some kind of change. And many of you have been working with this stuff for many years and have seen results. So at this point, that's everything I need to say as an introduction. Welcome again. Welcome everybody who's joining us on Facebook. Welcome everyone who's here on Zoom. And at this point, we are ready to move to the PowerPoint. Good. Hopefully the screen sharing will not cause Zoom to deactivate, which has been an ongoing problem for a lot of people. We're just going to go with it and see what happens. So, 7 principles for creating your reality. Some background, okay? These principles come from way, way, way back in distant past. Okay, they made their way from the records of the Cross. They made their way into the distant lost cultures and civilizations. They made their way through lost civilizations like Atlantis, Lemuria, into the ancient civilizations of Kem, which was before ancient Egypt. And these are attributed to the ancient being called Thoth. Thoth lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, and his writings were organized in what has been called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And these emerald tablets were uncovered very deep below the pyramids, the great pyramids in Egypt. They found their way, and many of you know that the Greek philosophers like Plato and many of the other Greek philosophers were astute students of ancient history and philosophy. And the Greeks called Thoth Hermes Trismegistus. And so the principles we're going to talk about originated from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, made their way to the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, and they are known as the principles of Hermeticism, or they made their way into what is now called the Kybalion. So, universal principles, some of you know them as the universal laws of life, the universal laws of spirit. They've been expanded on all over the place. But tonight we're going to take a look at the original 7 principles and how they apply in our life. And so the first principle is mentalism. Okay. The all is mind, the universe is mental. But don't confuse that with the limited aspects of mind, but look at it as this was a description that the entire universe was not in reality solid. The entire universe was a series of particles and waves that are all linked together in a universal field, a universal consciousness, a universal mind. Now, in quantum physics, they talk about the field, right? In spiritual pursuits, they talk about spirit, right? In more neuropsychological pursuits, they talk about the mind or the universal mind. But the whole point is that everything is really not solid. The universe is a vibrating field of energy, and all things are made up of vibrating energy. So if we start with this premise, all things are made up of vibrating energy, then what this principle brings to the forefront is our thoughts, our energy, they're vibrating particles of energy. Our feelings are energy, they're vibrating particles of energy. The attitudes and opinions we hold on to shape our reality. They literally shape how we experience and perceive reality. Right? Positive thoughts create positive realities in our world. Negative thoughts create negative realities. So, what the law of mentalism guides us to do is, when we understand this, when we understand everything is just energy and our thoughts, our feelings, our attitudes, opinions, and actions shape how we experience reality and how we interact with it. So if we have negative thoughts, if we are in a negative state of mind, what this principle guides us to do is to acknowledge that there are positive and negative thoughts, acknowledge the negative thoughts, but we have the power to shift our focus to or create a positive thought, create a positive emotion that evokes joy and happiness, right? So if we are in the middle of a real negative slump, just we're really in a bad place of negative thought, we can first acknowledge it, right? Make sure we acknowledge that, yes, I understand it's there. I understand that it is the creation of my focus. So I therefore have the power to create a different reality by shifting my focus to having my thoughts on something positive, something that evokes joy and happiness, and then have an emotional response of gratitude within that new thought pattern. And that will manifest the positive, right? Because we're literally changing the shape of that energy wave that we are sending out, and that will change the shape and the frequency of the energy wave that's coming back to us. Okay, does that make sense? It really does. Okay, so that's the first principle, mentalism. Let's move on to the next one, correspondence. Okay, No, this is not about texts and emails and letters. This is correspondence as above, so below. You've all heard this. As within, so without. Right? Our outer world affects our inner world. Our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, opinions can affect our outer world. Old beliefs, unresolved emotions, faulty identifying can all create challenges in your life. As below, so above, right? And as above, so below. So we can also be receiving impulses that can be uplifting and positive and actually evolutionary for us. And if we open to those things from above, they can change what's going on inside of us. So what's outside of us can change what's inside of us. What's inside of us can change what's outside of us. And so it's important for us to be aware of our external environment, the people, places, and things around us, because they can all impact your world. For those of you who use my goal mastery journaling system, remember there is a section each day we look at what are the people, places, and things that support my goals, and what are the people, places, things, and attitudes that sabotage my goals. Well, that is actually illustrating this law of correspondence. Right? So we have the power to choose, and by having the power to choose, we can choose the things that are above that are coming into us and uplifting us, and we can choose to shift the things that are below, around us. We can change how, number one, we can change those things that are in our world, and we can change the way we're responding to them so that they are not affecting us inwardly. So this is the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. And again, when you look at that, you can begin to see, oh yeah, I see how this plays out in my life, in my world. But it's a very, very, these principles, when we understand them and we start working consciously with them, it's incredibly empowering for us, because we understand that we can consciously participate actively in the creation of our reality and the type of life that we are living. So, the law of correspondence. Okay, this next law, the law of vibration. This is really an important one, okay? Nothing is ever truly at rest, right? Nothing is ever truly at rest. Everything vibrates. Everything is in motion. Every atom is in a constant state of vibration and movement and change, right? So therefore, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual selves are a set of frequencies that are always in motion. They are always vibrating, right? So why is this important? Frequencies and vibrations can be changed. They can be lifted up or they can be dragged down. They can be, heightened or lowered. So when we nurture positive frequencies, we attract positive experiences and we reach higher states of consciousness because our consciousness is vibrating at a higher level that enables us to interact with higher levels of consciousness, right? So the frequency we are vibrating is kind of like the elevator we're on, right? When we increase our frequency, when we increase our state of consciousness vibration, it's like being able to press the next button for the next floor on the elevator and expand into a higher reality of experience, wisdom, love, and freedom. Now, we all are familiar with the fact that We can always lower our vibrations, right? The TV shows and the TV news and the bad news and the soap operas and the reality shows and the junk, that is around us, when social media is being very negative. All of these things can drag us down. Certain types of music can drag us down. Certain types of food can drag us down. And also certain kinds of people can and will drag you down. Certain habits will lower your vibration, right? A poor diet, smoking, participating in drugs, alcohol, and other, damaging habits will lower your vibration, lower your state of consciousness, and lower your state of health and well-being. So how do we counteract that? Meditation, contemplation, prayer, chanting, mindfulness, and cultivating, just like a gardener, planting, nurturing, and pruning our thoughts to make sure that the positive fruits flower and the negative weeds get pulled out. And then this creates more positive vibration, more positive results in our lives, and a more positive state of consciousness. Okay, so that's the law of vibration. And as we practice being more and more aware of this, we can become very sensitive to the vibrations of a place, a person, a time of day, a number of things. Every experience we have, we are experiencing levels of vibration and frequency. And the more sensitive we become, the more we're able to understand what is going on, how to change it, and how to prevent it from affecting us. Okay, so that's the law of vibration, the principle of vibration. Okay. Number 4, principle number 4, law number 4 is the law of polarity. Law of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles, right? Everything is in a state of moving through polarities of opposites. So we are constantly experiencing the pendulum shift between the opposite polarities of single realities. So the law states that opposites are identical in nature, but different in the degree, right? And the degree and the polarity you are shifting to. So examples. Light and dark, right? Light and dark are identical in nature, but different in degree. Hot and cold are identical in nature, but different in degree, literally in degrees, right? Good and evil, identical in nature, but different in degree, right? The same individual has the power to choose and the power to be good by choosing good thoughts, good actions, good emotions, or they can choose to have evil results by choosing power and lust and greed and anger and infringing on the rights and the possessions of other people, right? It's all the same person, but in any moment they can choose to have their pendulum shift either to the negative or to the positive, right? And then we experience these passions. You're familiar with the 5 passions and the 5 virtues. They are all polarities of the same thing. One is shifting all the way to the positive, and that's the virtue. One is shifting all the way to the negative, that's the passion. And this law of polarity helps us become aware that we can acknowledge the state we are in. We can, through imagery, give it a position on a dial, right? We can focus on moving the dial, and we can move the dial towards the opposite polarity by thinking about an event or an action or a person that would create the opposite emotion. If you are in sadness, you could focus on a person, place, thing, experience that brings you great joy and love and happiness. And you can visualize yourself moving that dial from the negative, the sad, right, to the positive, the happy. The key is, as you're moving that dial, it's important to connect the thought and the imagination and the movement, connect it with a strong emotion, and express deep and authentic gratitude for that strong positive state of being you have created in your imagination, right? Celebrate already having achieved it before it's achieved, and be filled with emotions of love and gratitude for it. And that will counteract the negative swing that had happened, in the opposite direction, causing the negative situation in your life or negative emotion. Okay, so polarities, we face them all the time. Okay, number 5, the number 5 principle is the principle of rhythm. Okay, everything flows. It flows out, it flows in. Rhythm compensates. And this is there's a line from Corner of the Sky in Pippin. Everything has a season, everything has a time. Show me a reason and I'll show you a rhyme. For every season, for everything there is a season and a time and a place under heaven. Everything has its flow in and its flow out. Everything must rise and everything must fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything, right? The measure of the thing to the right is the equal measure to the left. Everything moves in cycles of action and rest, joy and sadness, highs and lows, triumphs and losses. So remember that every period you go through, it will be followed by its opposite at some point. But by being aware of this and being more and more a conscious participant in our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, our mindset, right? By being more consciously in sync and control, we can lessen the effect of the fall and bring about a faster rise. And we can prevent ourselves from experiencing too violent a drop when the rise heads towards the fall, right? It's all about balance, right? And so remember, every winter is followed by the spring, right? Every plus has its minus, right? Every rise has its fall. This is true for experiences in our life. This is true for our lives themselves. This is true for relationships. This is true for jobs, careers, businesses. It's true for countries, empires, and planets, and solar systems and universes, right? Everything in the physical universes has flow, out and in. Stars are created, they grow. They start to fade and they burn out. And a new star is born, right? We are born as babies. We grow to be infants and toddlers. We grow to be teenagers. We grow to be adults. And then we start that other journey towards preparation for the ending of an incarnation. But it's the beginning of a new adventure. So if we can catch the rhythm, be aware of the rhythm, right? Because every instant has a rhythm. We can be aware of that rhythm when something's building. We can flow with that. We can take advantage of it. But also, we can be aware that we do our best, but there's going to come a time when it's going to reverse, and that's okay. We go with it. We do the best we can with it. We try to minimize its negative effect. We also understand that in addition to being very active, being an active participant in life, it's also important to experience the rhythm shift into rest, right? Music is a great example, right? Music has crescendos and then music has rest. You have notes you're playing and then you stop, right? And it's the rests and then the going back that create the music, that create the experience that's alive, right? If we just went full force 110 miles an hour, we'd burn out. Or if we just laid there in total rest or, being a slug and not going or doing anything ever, we basically run away. So recognizing what the rhythm is that we're in or need to be, and then recognizing when we're falling out of rhythm. We might have to up our game, right? If that's the rhythm of life is picking up and we're kind of dragging our feet, we need to up our game. And if we're going too fast, we need to build some rest into the measures of music, right? Take a breath, stop, rest, regroup. So be aware of the rhythm of life, the rhythm of your life, the rhythm of what's going on, right? And how life is trying to inspire you to either increase your velocity and frequency or rest and balance. Certainly your body has a rhythm. And when we're out of rhythm with our bodies, that's when dis-ease begins to happen. When we're in sync and in rhythm with our bodies, we intuitively know what we need to do to maintain the rhythm. And every type of experience is important. Okay. Principle number 6. This is one I think everyone knows: cause and effect, right? The law of cause and effect in physics connected to the law of karma in the spiritual studies. But what it basically says is every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Why? Because the universe operates in a set of laws. Okay? Everything that is happening in every moment is an interaction according to a law, some law. Right? There is no such thing as chance, right? Chance is nothing but a law or a cause that is operating within that law that is just not recognized or is being ignored, right? We have to be honest with ourselves. When we get to a certain point in our spiritual awakening, we understand that we have a hand in every experience that is happening with us and to us, right? But we understand that it's always happening for us, but that we are co-creators of every experience, and we are co-creators of every evolutionary learning process we go through from every experience, okay? And the law goes on to say there are many planes of causation. Right? There are many levels of vibration, many planes of existence, but nothing escapes the law of cause and effect, right? Even in outer space where there's no gravity, if you make a push If you make a movement in one direction, it will create an opposite effect and propel you to another. The law says we are not passive spectators in our lives. Right? What this also means is we are not victims in our lives. We have at some point in time, space, eternity, have created and set in motion the actions that are manifesting the experiences and results we are experiencing right now. And we are consciously or subconsciously shaping every event in our lives. Again, with our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our attitudes, and our opinions. So, by knowing that we can work in harmony with the law of cause and effect, it behooves us to become incredibly conscious and extremely mindful, right? And respectful and honest about the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, the opinions, the judgments that are coming out of us and coming through us, right? Because they will shape our reality. Cause and effect. And finally, we come to number 7. The number 7 principle is the principle of gender, okay? Now, this is not about gender identification. This is about the masculine and feminine energies that exist in these lower worlds, these universes, in these lower planes. And this principle says that gender, the positive or male energy, right? Gender, the male energy or the female energy, it's not positive, it's not negative. It simply is a frequency. So gender manifests on all planes and in all forms, right? We have the male and female principles in the lower universes, in the lower worlds. We have the male and female principles inside of each of us, these energies. The male energy is an assertive, some active, sometimes aggressive, giving, initiating type of energy. The female energy, and I'm not saying every female is this, didn't say every male is that, but the female energy is a more passive, calmer, receiving and nurturing energy. So you can see how these two energies, when in balance, create a harmony. There are times when it's important to be assertive, right? Active. And there are times to be restful, passive, observing, watching, receiving the energies, and nurturing, right? These two energies, principles, are at work, and it behooves us to be aware of them, be conscious and mindful of them, and always be working to, when we are in rhythm with what's going on in our lives, try to maintain equilibrium and harmony, so that when the situation calls us to exert more male energy, we do it when it's in rhythm. When it's more female energy needed, we do it. When we're out of balance in one energy, we can consciously adapt the qualities of the other, right? So be aware of that. Study the qualities. And I'm sure you've all studied these for years, but remind yourself of these qualities. And be mindful when we are moving in one direction and we begin to get out of balance with one of those energies. And then remind ourselves to, hey, let's bring in the opposite energy to create balance, right? But out of balance in one energy, adapt the qualities of the other and move into stasis, balance, and harmony. And that's the last principle, the principle of gender. And again, it's not about being a male or being a female. It's about these energies that exist in the universe, exist in the world, and exist in ourselves. And we want to be always aware of them and trying to maintain a balance. Okay. All right, now comes my favorite part, and that is listening to you. You've been listening to me for half an hour. Now I get to listen to you, and the folks on Facebook get to listen to you too. And if they have things they want to ask or say, they can always put that in the comment section of the Facebook Live that's going on right now. So who wants to be second to ask a question or share a comment or a technique they've used with any of those principles? Go ahead and unmute yourself and let's hear what you have to say. Janine, you're first. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. That was, well, a lot to take in and wonderful, wonderful. It's the manual to life, right? Like, um, yeah, the polarity thing is really interesting, and it's something that I wish I could go and tell everybody who's very confused about what they or them are, is that, these are really energies. And the Chinese understanding of yin and yang in the two tadpoles is that everything has its own quality, has the opposite quality within it. So when it's if you think of light and dark, light is daylight, there's sun, there's the people, the sun is there, and then in night there's the moon and the stars, which is the yang, is the light is there in the darkness. So everything has it. And being able to, I think, tune into the sensitivity of the energy. For instance, if I'm calling somebody about a potential job, for instance, the male energy comes out to go and call them, to move towards the goal. Can't keep calling them. There's a certain point where you have to sit back and wait for the call to come back. So that's, employing the reverse energy and knowing. But I think the spiritual side of it, working with spirit say, oh, they haven't called you in 2 weeks, or they didn't answer your email. Maybe they didn't get your email. So now you reach out again. So it's a real sensitive dance. And you can't take a hard line on male or female or masculine or feminine. They're both.
And also we learn to maximize our chances of manifesting what we want by creating other opportunities. And that's part of the using that creative energy, the creative principle of understanding that if one thing isn't happening, there's a rhythm to it. And if it's not in rhythm with who and what and where we are right now, keep creating other opportunities, because that other second or third opportunity might be more in rhythm with you, more in sync with you, and also more in line with the cause that you sent out, and also your needs. I've very rarely in my career ever thought I would do the jobs that I did. They manifested, and they were all really difficult. They were all really challenging, but they were perfect for my state of consciousness and my desire to grow, to expand my abilities and capabilities, but also expand my ability to bring greater value to the world. So I found that a lot of times there were jobs that, or people, relationships, things that I went after really aggressively, and thought that they were perfect for me, and wound up doing the thing that I never would have dreamed of doing, and the thing that was really, really hard. But that's what I needed to create skills that would provide more value to life, right? So there's that, that rhythm and that sense of harmony, and balancing the, the male and the female energies. All of these principles you'll see at work. Now that you're looking at them today, I'm sure tomorrow things are going to start happening. You're going to start making choices and decisions. All of a sudden, you're going to say, oh, this is that principle about gender, or this is that principle about cause and effect, or, rhythm. All of these principles are at play. What I love to do in this show is just, I didn't invent this stuff. I find it, and most of you know it, but my job is to bring it out and put our attention on it and have discussion about it. And that then reminds you of it, and it reminds us that we are imbued with the power, the capability, and the opportunity to consciously co-create our lives with the divine, with, the universe. We're not a passive spectator. We are a partner of co-creation. But to do that, we have to be more awake, more aware, and more skilled at using these tools to be in harmony with these laws, right? And we must constantly be learning so that we can be of greater value, right? And that's why I do this show, and that's why you folks do what you do. We're constantly learning to raise our state of consciousness, to raise our value to life, right? So great points, Janine. Thank you so much. Randy.
Wonderful, Michael. And it's great to take a look at where we are, where I am, in regards to these principles and how we are responding with them constantly, and that our frequency and our polarity and rhythm, and they really do fall into place. It seems like it's from one extreme to the other, but within that context, we are finding where we are. We are moving into a greater understanding of how diffuse this world is, but at the same time, where we are now falling into a place that is inherently in keeping with the natural state of balance that I find, particularly with the inner and outer. And I've had these conversations with folks every once in a while, and I'm saying, isn't it amazing what we're going through out, in the world right now, and people are, concerned, and then, but at the same time, what is your inner world like? Where is that taking you? And how are you balancing out the circumstances that you're contending with outwardly, and how are you recognizing the inherent value of having that inner, divine, unconditional, loving context within the course of every moment of our lives? And we have lots of possibilities moving back and forth. So yeah, it's always it's a source of gratitude for me that I can begin each day, and I can go through that day always keeping in a balance that I'm discovering about myself and my world and my life every day.
Well said, Randy. I always come back to wanting to thank you, Randy, for all of the things you've taught me over the years about taking responsibility for what I put into my body, and how that affects my state of consciousness as well as my health. And I have to tell you, I've been working with grounding, right? I've been working with grounding. I'm growing my own indoor hydroponic organic vegetables.
Great.
My own indoor organic sprouts. I am working with electronic acupuncture. I'm working, exercise, diet, supplements, brain training. I'm involved with very intensive work on really working with neuroplasticity training and bioneural sound and tone and self-talk, and just there is so much out there. When we want excellence, when we decide I want excellence in my health, I want excellence in my life, my emotions, my skills, my finances, I want in my spiritual state of consciousness, I want excellence, but I'm willing to do what it takes to get it. And this is what's most important. Are we willing to learn? Randy, you taught me a lot of stuff. I had to be willing to learn from, you and others who taught me. We've had a lot of guests on the show who've taught us a lot of things. You have to be willing to learn, to get uncomfortable with where you are comforted right now, and be willing to do the work to apply what you're learning. Even though it might be scary, unknown, a stretch, sometimes expensive, if you want what you want bad enough, then you will go out and learn what you need to learn to do, find the who's that will teach you what you need to know, get the tools you need to have, get the inspiration to keep going, measure the results incrementally. But you will see results, and it will inspire you to do more. When we do more, we experience more results. When we experience more results, we get excited and we do more. And that's building momentum, right? Mm-hmm. And remember that law, right? That principle that, either we can, be in motion or we can go the opposite direction. But there really is no standing still. You're either going forward or you're going backward, right? And we don't want to go backward, right? We don't want to regress, digress, devolve. We want to evolve, not devolve. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm so grateful for people like you, Randy, people who we've had on the show, past shows this past year. Julie Lynn, the recent show we had with Dr. Christina and Dr. Bruce. You can all go back and watch those on my Facebook page, and they'll be posted up in the Facebook groups that we have here. But don't stop learning. Don't stop having that burning desire to keep moving forward, keep upping your skills, keep upping your health, keep upping your knowledge, right? Keep raising your vibrations. I think that's so powerful, just to know we have the power and the impact and the control to change our state of consciousness, change the frequency we're vibrating at, and change what we're manifesting in our lives, right? And we don't have to sit and stew in where we are right now. We don't have to blame anybody for where we are right now. And we don't have to feel entitled that we can, ask Santa Claus or the Santa Claus in the sky or anyone else or anything else to give us what we don't have or are not manifesting right now. Mm-hmm. We don't need any of that. We can make it happen for ourselves. Sometimes it requires a little help. Sometimes it requires more, information, more tools, but we can make this happen. Whatever it is that we want to make happen, we have the ability of changing our reality, right? Have the ability of changing our reality, but we have to want it. And we have to live it, be it, do it, right? And not listen. I'll never forget, I've told this story before, but when I was homeless And I had someone who was compassionate enough to let me work in their dirty, awful factory, like 1 day a week, make a little spare money, save up to rent a car to go on job interviews. And I remember when I started building momentum and I started going on job interviews, the guys that were working there who had been there for years, and they were going to stay there the rest of their life. When they said, what are you doing? Where have you been? I said, well, I saved up enough money to go on job interviews. Well, what were you interviewing for? I said, oh, I'm interviewing for this job with this company and this thing with this thing and that. And, oh, why are you doing that? You have a job right here. What's wrong with this? You could go from 1 day a week to 5 days a week working in a horrible, terrible, place for minimum wage, right? What's wrong with that? Right? You should stay here. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that would be the easy thing to do. But what was happening is they were sensing that I wanted I had a bigger destiny. I wanted more, and I was willing to do more, right? To do whatever it takes. They were comfortable where they were, right? And instead of taking some courses at night or at least reading some books, upping their skills, they were happy putting in the 8 hours in the dirty, filthy, dangerous place, going home and saying, that's it, I'll have a beer or whatever and watch the game and, go to sleep, and I'll wake up and it'll start all over. And that's okay because it's comfortable, right? Sometimes we have to get uncomfortable with what's comfortable and learn more, do more, and be more. Perfect example, Bridget. Want to congratulate Bridget on manifesting her dream of writing an incredible book. Bridget, we all applaud you. Very excited about your new book. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with the book?
Thank you, Mike. What can I say? Today, for example, I just before I signed on here, the proof of one of the books came, and I just opened it. I haven't, oops, what's this? It just came in the mail.
Wow.
Okay. It's called The Cat with Pets, Awakening Creative Channels. I can't tell a big story about it. Just
no, because I'm gonna have you in on the show. I'm
yeah.
interested in
It's
in you manifesting it. What did you do to manifest it?
This program, believe it or not, helped me a lot to focus. I've been making notes. This is a childhood cat. I've been making notes. And this program helped me to begin to see the messages as they were coming in the dream state.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. I just leave it there. But once I knew I had a story there. But every so often I take a look at it, I didn't do much. But when I started mastermind journaling and all of that, that was the first thing that I wanted to accomplish. Okay, and it's taken a while, but it did happen. And I thank all of you and everyone that encouraged me. Thank you, Mike.
You're very welcome. It's a great book. We're going to have you on this show to talk in detail about it and how people can use it and what they can gain from it. So stay tuned. We will be having Bridget on the show later on this spring. So thank you, Bridget. And thanks for being a shining example of what we can do and accomplish.
Thanks, Mike.
It's very, very beautiful. You're welcome. Yeah. Roseanne, you've been so patient. How are you today?
We ended right at 6, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you
We
speak
end
up?
right at 6 o'clock, right? I just want to make sure I keep this within the limits of your show.
No, go ahead. We have 3 or 4, we have about 4 or 5 minutes.
So first of all, I want to thank you, Bridget, for talking about dreams. To me, my dreams have been an indispensable part of finding guidance and trying to stay within those rhythms that you were talking about.
Hmm.
I wanted to share one little story. Um, um, I listened to an interview of Kobe Bryant recently, an amazing human being.
Amazing.
And what he said was, well, his teammates, I think they made it to the Olympics or whatever, I can't remember, but his teammates were drinking and he didn't drink. And not only that, at 4 a.m., he was on the court shooting hoops. 4 a.m., right? And he
Yep.
was continually polishing his skills. And it was an inspiring interview, which I really enjoyed listening to. I want to say I got this fortune. There's also waking dreams, right?
Yep.
Waking dreams are things that happen in your daily life that help give you guidance. And I got this on a tea bag fortune. And this is a perfect thing. And I think it really aligns with what you're talking about tonight. It says, accept who you are in this moment, but acknowledge who you want to become. So it's like, accept, because I think that's the key. A key is accepting what is right now, but then acknowledge this other piece. The other thing that I want to share is my brother. I just recently separated from a 33-year-old marriage, and I had a lot of support to do that. And it's been a really good move for me personally, but it's also been kind of traumatic. Anyway, oh gosh, I was going to say something about that. Oops. Anyway, I had something I want to say and I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Oh, I know. So my brother, who I really haven't had much contact with over the years, has become a key important part of my life. And he said to me, he said, Rose, I want you to write your goals 2 hours a day. You know, nobody can possibly do 2 hours a day. But I started writing down my goals. I don't do it every day. And sometimes it's just short, you know, and it's like, this is my goal, this is my goal, this is my goal, this is my goal. And one of my goals, I've been doing pottery. And after I retired from my profession, I discovered pottery. And one of my goals was to improve my throwing skills. And it really helped because somehow something jiggled in my mind when I was writing those goals. And I thought, wow, why don't you watch a YouTube video about throwing? And there's 15 of them. I mean, there's 20 of them. There's a ton of them, right? Anyway, long story short, I've had some injuries and this and that really kept me from learning how to throw well. And then about a month ago, I was in a new pottery class, another session, and I thought, I'm going to throw a bowl. So I had the courage to sit down. I hadn't been having the best success because my body was having problems. But bing, bang, bang, I threw 3 bowls like that. But it was from what I probably watched about 10 or 12 videos about throwing bowls. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about goals. And I just wrote them in a very non-attached way and just let my brain do the rest. Anyway, thank you.
Very welcome. Great points, Roseanne. And yeah, have always been a big fan of Kobe's. And you know, he really illustrated if you're willing to put in the work. He was the first in and the last out, you know, at practices. And you know, people used to criticize him and say, you know, Kobe, why are you being such a ball hog? And later he gave an interview and he said, you know, it's not that I'm a ball hog, it's that the members of my team have to earn my confidence and trust for me to pass them the ball. Now, when I have teammates who come in 10 minutes late for practice, they play at 70% of strength and talent. They leave early. They go out, like you said, and they, carouse and party and damage their health. I don't trust them because their level of commitment is not at my level of commitment to win, right? Their devotion to the game and the team is not at the level of my devotion. So they're not going to get the ball. The ones who are going to get the ball are the ones who are showing the same level of commitment and work ethic, right? And desire and a championship mentality. And I just, I'll never forget that interview because I constantly, when I'm trying to do something and it's not working out, I have to sit down and have an honest Kobe kind of, discussion with myself and look at why is this not working out? Am I showing up early, leaving late, giving 100%, right? Am I doing the things that will support this, or am I doing things that sabotage it? I really have to look in the mirror and be honest with myself before I start blaming, life or God or others. I have to really look at what part am I playing in this? And you'll get all kinds of clues, like, and you're talking about, you'll get these clues in your dream of what to do that you might be off course a little bit, or you might just need to gain some skills and go and just learn something. It will result in you learning what you need. It'll lead you to what you need. But to get up and do something, learn something, so you'll grow some way, and that leads to eventually getting where you are. And then, like you said, is really important, appreciate, embrace, honor, and be grateful for who and what you are right now. Because who and what we are right now is enough. Who and what we are is loved and precious and appreciated and valuable, right? So that's really important. We are enough right now, but if we want to be more, if we want to have more, if we want to do more, right, we need to be willing to do the work, right? Put the effort in. If we want change, we have to be the change. We have to initiate the change, create the change, see it, feel it, go after it, be grateful for it even before it happens, right? And you'll see all of these laws apply when we're out there just trying to be a better version of ourselves tomorrow, right? Just a little bit different, a little bit better, a little bit more awake, a little bit stronger, a little bit healthier, right? And when we make progress in one area, it touches all areas. You'll see that in these laws, these principles, right? When you make one little tweak, everything shifts and changes for the better. So anyway, it's that time. Do we have any other questions before we sign off? If not, I hope you'll, take a look at these. There are various forms out there. When you travel to a different country, as I've traveled to so many, it's really important to learn the laws of the country. And so when you are living a life, it's important to know the laws of the world you're living in. And I think tonight you have some tools to use and investigate. This wisdom is tens of thousands of years old, maybe even millions of years old. Tried, tested, and proven. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I'm going to keep digging into this stuff. I'm going to keep trying to be more conscious, more astute at applying these things. But for now, I just want to say I'm really grateful for you being here tonight. Grateful for everyone who's joining us on Facebook. I hope you'll share what you're learning with others. I hope you'll share this show with others. Let people know about this, what we do here. I love you all, and I'm very grateful for you all, and I'm grateful for the effort that we are all making in becoming more and more valuable to life and to ourselves. So have a good night, have a good week, love you all, and we will see you next time. And take good care of yourself.